Hello everyone and welcome. It has been a while, Oisashiburi. I don't know that you use Oisashiburi so much if it's only been like 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks. Usually it's more like if it's been a couple months. Like when I came back after spring vacation, my coworkers said Oisashiburi to me. Long time no see. Alright, I'm going to make 2 videos back to back. 2, double dose of Jason. This first one is going to be about Jet. And then the next one is going to be about a general topic which we had some fun with on my Facebook page for Myargonauts. The first one, like I said, is more Jet-centric. If you're interested in the Jet program, Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, watch this video. If you're not so, big on Jet and you just want to know more about Japan, watch the next video. I won't have the tie on. How about that? I'll take it off, even though I'm filming them back to back. I'm here in my office at work, and we just finished for the day, so before I go home, I'm going to do this, because when I get home, I take off all my clothes, I put on my, pajamas, and, my sweatshirt and my sweatpants, and I relax, and I always go, oh, I should have filmed a video, and so I'm trying to cure that. Alright, so first of all, congrats. It's this time of year that people are starting to find out if they're going to Japan as a Jet. They're on the short list, which means they have a spot, they just don't know where they're going yet. They're on the wait list or the alternate list, which means somebody else has to back out and then they get to go. And a lot of those people do get upgraded, so don't worry if you're on the alternate list. But people ask me every year, oh, what are my chances, blah, blah, blah. I just don't know. It depends where you are on the list, what country you're from. Speak to your liaison at your consulate. They can usually at least tell you you're number 3 on the list, or you're number 1 on the list, or you're number 17 on the list. And maybe that'll give you a better idea. Because I know it's more of putting your life on hold. It sucks, but don't give up hope. A lot of people do get upgraded and bumped up. And then, of course, people just got told sorry. You got the interview, but you didn't make the cut. Try again next year. If you really want to do it and you really want to go to Japan, try again next year. A lot of people I've known get in on their second or even third try. So don't give up if Jet really is something you want to do. Alright, but I had 2 good questions that I thought I would talk about here, hopefully within 15 minutes. A very nice man, hopefully I'm saying his name right, Paku, asked me on the Myargonauts Facebook page, did I know many Jets whose second language was English? In other words, maybe they were French-Canadian, or they were from a country where English isn't the spoken language, but they learned English and they became a Jet. I did. A lot of them become CIRs. Of course, we have CIRs in the Jet program from Korea and China are 2 of the major countries, and they don't even have to speak English at all. They come over to help in Japanese town offices to coordinate things with Korea and China from Japan. But we also had Jets, like I said, we've had a CIR in Izumo, where I used to live, from Finland every year. It seemed like there was a new Finnish person. We had a sister city relationship with Ireland, so we often had an Irish CIR, who obviously they speak English, but you'll find things like that. There was a CIR from Norway in Matsue for a while, and so you'll find CIRs sometimes. But we did have ALTs during my time that were not native speakers. We had a guy who was either from Brazil or some South American country, and but he moved to America at some point, and his English was fantastic. But it wasn't fantastic, but I mean, it was really good. He had a heavy accent, but his English was fine. But he also, of course, his native language, I think, was Portuguese, if he was from Brazil. We had a guy. We've had some people from, I want to be careful now because I'm not sure about the native language, but we have had Jets from Kenya. I don't know if they grew up speaking a native African language and English simultaneously, etc. So if you don't speak English as a native language, go to the Jet website. It's jetprogram, programme.org, and look, they list the countries that you're able to participate. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a native English speaker to become a Jet. His further concern is, Paku, this person that asked this question, is he, for instance, majored in art. You don't have to be an English major to become a jet. I majored in history. I have a good friend who majored in chemistry. Another friend majored in, microeconomics or something. One of the guys that came to ISMO after me was a lawyer before, and gone to law school before he even became a jet. So what's going to happen to your specific skill set that maybe your major was in while you're teaching and enjoying Japan? It's a good question. Now, for him specifically, he was an art major, and he actually does art. I can't remember from his message if it was sculpting or painting or something where he creates art. I would say the JET program is really good for, people like that, because you have a lot of free time inherent in the way the program is set up. You see my Kirkland water here from, if you know Costco, but it's, total Japanese. You have a lot of free time, not only at school, where some days, you just won't have many classes or whatever, and you'll just be stuck at your desk. Maybe you're supposed to be doing lesson plans, maybe you're supposed to be grading, but maybe you'll seriously just have free time. You can study Japanese, but if you can sketch, or you want to write, or you want to sit there and type into your computer and blog or something, you'll have time to do these activities. And you'll have free time at the weekends and at nights too, because maybe you won't have as many friends, maybe you won't have as many things to do. Maybe your town is a very small town, and there's just not so much to do every night of the week. You're not going to be watching as much TV most likely, because all the TV will be Japanese shows for the most part. So a lot of people read more. They get involved. Like I got involved with YouTube. You'll find other interests that you can take time. So if you want to, write a novel or knit or learn to cook, JET can be very good for that. Of course, you can join clubs and societies and do sports and, go out to bars and have friends and go to nightclubs. Some of it will depend on how close you're situated to bigger cities, and how isolated you are, etc. But specifically, how will it affect you, say, 2 years later when you go back to your home country and now you've been teaching, which has nothing to do with what you studied in college, and now you're trying to get a job? That can be difficult. I'm not going to lie. It can be like a hole in your resume. But there are ways to mitigate that, and they actually have a whole conference you can attend. It's called the Leavers Conference, and I believe it's held in like February or March every year. And you can go, and it's like 2 or 3 days of workshops, etc., where people will help you, work up your resume, show how to make JET positive, make it a positive in your work experience or your life as opposed to a negative. And you can go to this conference and get a jump on when you leave JET in the summertime. So there are things you can do to just not have it be just this empty space in your resume, as it were. But a lot of companies are looking for people with travel experience, with world experience, some bilingualness. If you come here and you really study Japanese, for instance, that can be a big plus. If you go to a site called JetWit, JETWIT.com, they're really good folk over there. If you sign up for their email, they send out an email almost every day, and it's got all kinds of links. It's kind of for JET alumni, but there's so many jobs that they list job offerings. There's so many jobs at like universities and places in America and other countries where they want someone that's had some experience in a different country doing kind of a JET program type thing, and now you're gonna turn that around and use that experience in a positive way for your career. So it just depends what you want to do. But yeah, I had a friend who, for instance, was about to go, he wanted to be a dentist, and he had finished his undergrad and was about to go to medical school, and he said, you know what, I'm going to take a year off and do JET. And he knew he was only going to come for a year. He wanted to stay a second, but he even said to me, Jason, I have to go back, and while I'm in Japan and I've got this free time that I was just talking about, I'm going to apply to my graduate school, my medical school, to become a dentist. And so that's what he did. Other people, like I said, if you want to go to business school or get your MBA or something, maybe it's a good time to kind of have a breather, come here, enjoy Japan, etc. and then fill out these forms and go to grad school or, further your education. Okay, the other question was Hannah, a woman named Hannah and a woman named Mandy. Both asked me very similar questions. And one of them was like, I want to do JET, but I also have this, she got on the short list. But she's like, I was also just offered a really good, stable contract type job in a government position in my home country. I couldn't figure out if she was from the UK or America. Which should I do? She's asking me. Now, I'm very grateful that people put all this kind of trust in me to help you with major life decisions. But the fact is, man, that's tough for me to give advice. You've really got to look at so many factors before you make a decision like that. But I will say this, with that caveat said, I will say this. If you're in your 20s, which most of you are when you want to do JET, you're not married yet, you're generally unencumbered, you don't have kids, you don't have a lot of debt, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, that is the time, that is the prime time to do something like JET. Because believe me, when you start through life and then you get a job and then maybe you meet someone, etc., these things can tie you down to one place. And that's not a bad thing. That's life. I mean, that's most people. But if you want to do this thing that not a lot of people do, not a lot of people go and live in a foreign country for a year or 2 years or something. In your 20s, when you're a little bit more free, as it were, is a good time to do it. So I say do JET sooner than later. Now, of course, having said that, I did JET when I was 35 to when I was 40. But that was just because of the way my life sorted itself out. And it wasn't like I was keen to do JET when I was 22 and put it off. I didn't really even know about JET until I was in my 30s. So, Hannah and Mandy both asked, should I take this opportunity now? Or should, I think it was Hannah who asked, should I do JET or should I get my master's first? And I'm like, well, again, if you have the opportunity now, if you have the choice now, I would say JET. But having said that, if all the mechanisms are in place, you've applied to the school, you can get in, you know what you want to study, it's a 2-year program, maybe do your master's, because that's not an easy thing either. To set up all those dominoes in a row so they all fall over and they end with you getting this piece of paper in 2 years, that takes its own dedication and focus. So you can do that and then apply to JET. I mean, the good thing about the huge waiting period for JET is that, you can apply literally when you're still in school and know if you're going to be able to go when you graduate. And if not, then you graduate and you say, okay, now I'm a graduate and I'm going to start thinking about a job. So it really depends on the situation. I would love to be able to give advice like that, and when people ask me questions, I try to give some advice, but that's hard, man. Everybody's got little intricacies of their life, that make it, each specific decision is its own, got its own pros and cons, as it were. So, but yeah, I would say, do JET if you can. I'm always pro JET, right? I'm always a cheerleader. If you have the chance and you can come here and, give it a year, but be prepared to be sucked in, and want to stay 2 or even 3. It's very, very common nowadays. So those are a few JET questions I had through Myargonauts at Facebook. Feel free to go there and leave questions. My next vlog is, like I said, going to be more just about Japan in general. So come back and watch that one. Thanks as always, guys. Peace. See you next time.